In this chapter, we are going to talk about vitamins. So far, we discussed macronutrients, including carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, as well as water and electrolytes. So this chapter, it's all about vitamins, both water soluble vitamins and fat soluble vitamins. So these are our chapter objectives. So let's talk about the classification of vitamins. This chapter is basics actually. So it's kind of covering the information you already know about your other nutrition courses. So this is not a big chapter, and you will see that this chapter is not much about athletes actually. So let's begin with the knowledge check here. It's kind of an introduction to vitamins. So let's match the terms on the left side with the definitions or the statements on the right side. First, fat-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins are vitamin A, D, K, and E. So let's see. Fat-soluble vitamins stored in liver and adipose cells. That's correct. So fat-soluble vitamins are stored in liver and adipose cells because they are fat-soluble. So liver and adipose tissue are capable of storing fat-soluble vitamins. They circulate easily in blood. No, that's not correct. Transport in blood requires carrier. Yes, that's correct. Because blood is a watery environment. So fat soluble vitamins require a specific carrier to travel through the bloodstream. Excess is excreted. That's not correct. Fat soluble vitamins are not excreted easily because they are fat soluble. Storage protects against deficiencies. Yes, so fat-soluble vitamins are capable of being stored, so that storage protects them against deficiencies. No designated storage site, so that's not correct. So, two, water-soluble vitamins. Water-soluble vitamins are B vitamins and vitamin C. They circulate easily in blood. Excess is excreted through urine, and there is no designated storage site for most of these water-soluble vitamins. There are some exceptions, but majority of the time, water-soluble vitamins they have no designated storage site, unlike fat-soluble vitamins. So again, fat soluble or vitamin A, D, E, K, you already know about these. And water soluble are vitamin B1 or thiamine, B2 riboflavin, B3 niacin, pantothenic acid or vitamin B5, biotin, folate or B9, vitamin B6, B12, and vitamin C. Previously, choline is sometimes listed as a water-soluble vitamin, but it's technically an amine which is a derivative of ammonia. So it's not considered a vitamin anymore, but we have choline listed in the as part of the B vitamins in DRI table. So, this slide and a few next slides are talking about different vitamins in detail. I'm gonna walk you through this table, this first one, and I want you to read carefully the other slides, listing the name, characteristic, and function of different vitamins. I would like you to read them carefully because there will be some questions on your quiz and exam about these vitamins. Again, you already know this information. So it's just like basic about, vitamins. So first is vitamin A. We have different types of vitamin A, retinol, and retinoic acid. And the animal sources are either, retinol, and retinoic acid. And also we have beta carotene, which is a precursor to vitamin A. And precursor means it's in active form, or it's kind of a substance that our body is able to convert it to active vitamin A. So carotenoids or beta carotene is the precursor to vitamin A. And the functions, it functions as, vision. We need vitamin A for reproduction, bone and tooth development, immune system function, and carotenoids are antioxidants. So beta carotene is an antioxidant. Vitamin A participates in gene expression, like, in DNA, RNA, um, growth factors, cell death. So vitamin A is very important. It's a fat soluble. The deficiency disease is called hypovitaminosis A, and the symptoms are night blindness, permanent blindness, more frequent and severe infections, and lack of growth, inability to reproduce. Toxicity is also, it's not common, but it's possible in, for fat soluble vitamins. Again, there are some exceptions, but majority of the time, we can see toxicity regarding fat soluble vitamins because we cannot excrete them easily, unlike water soluble vitamins. So it's important to note this one. We have toxicity disease for vitamin A. And we have like food sources here. Most of the time it's animal derived food sources, liver, fish oil, milk and milk products. And also plant-based foods, they contain carotenoids or beta carotene like spinach, carrots, cantaloupe, tomatoes, and so on and so forth. So this table is about vitamin D. This is vitamin E and vitamin K. And see here we have toxicity. This is none. So vitamin K is an exception. Or for vitamin E, again, there is none. But vitamin D has toxicity, vitamin A has toxicity. So it's better to note these important points here. So again, just please go ahead and read this carefully. If you like read this, you will be able to answer the questions on your quiz and on your exam. For water-soluble vitamins and for other vitamins, it's better to know their names, their chemical names. For instance, for vitamin B1, the name is thiamine. For B2 is riboflavin. For B3 is niacin. For B6 is pyridoxine. And for B12 is cobalamin or cyanocobalamin. B9 is folates or folacin or folic acid. So please note this information, this table. So let's skip these a few slides and let's start from here. The demands for most athletes can be met by consuming the amounts recommended by dietary reference intakes or DRI. So for athletes, we don't have specific requirements regarding vitamins for athletes. They can get enough vitamins by consuming the amounts listed on the DRI table. And when the DRI are established for each vitamin, there is a built-in margin of safety. We have AI adequate intake and tolerable upper intake level. So athletes needs to follow the same requirements on DRI, just like general healthy population. And this figure, this graph shows the percentage of US population with intakes below the EAR or estimated average requirement. Just a quick review for EAR. EAR is like it's similar to RDA, but the difference is EAR meets the needs of 50% of the population, healthy population. So as you can see, and as you guess, vitamin DEA, the majority of the US population are getting like little of these vitamins. So they are at the risk of developing deficiencies for these vitamins. But other vitamins like thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, majority of the US population, they meet their needs for those vitamins. And this is the stages of vitamin deficiency. So first, we have mild deficiency, which is which because of low intake or adequate intake but low absorption. So whether we have low intake or we have adequate intake but we have low absorption because of different disease and condition. So that causes mild deficiency. And then we move on to subclinical deficiency, which is like initial decline in vitamin-related enzymes, and the continued decline in vitamin-related enzymes can occur at this stage. And then we have clinical deficiency. This is the stage we see symptoms. Symptoms occur regarding vitamin deficiencies. For instance, fatigue, gastrointestinal distress, and other symptoms, other signs and symptoms. And also different vitamins, they have specific symptoms for their deficiency. So these are the stages, mild deficiency, subclinical deficiency, and clinical deficiency. So, for at the mild deficiency stage and subclinical deficiency stage, there is no sign and symptoms. So vitamin deficiencies progress from mild to moderate or subclinical to severe, which is clinical. And as you know, because there is no sign and symptoms at mild and subclinical deficiency, it is difficult to monitor and recognize vitamin deficiency at these two early stages, which is mild and subclinical deficiency. The roles of vitamins in the body, and these are also you can find these in the table at the beginning of this PowerPoint. So for thiamine or B1, there are a couple of functions for thiamine, for riboflavin, for niacin. Most of the time, the B vitamins they are participating in TCA cycle, electron transport chain. In general, the metabolism of macronutrients, including carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. So B vitamins are coenzymes and they participate in metabolism of macronutrients. And when we say coenzyme, co plus enzyme, so they are assisting different enzymes. And without these coenzymes, without these vitamins, those enzymes cannot function properly. And here we have different vitamins involved in energy metabolism. Energy metabolism can be, you know, um, carbohydrate, protein, or lipid. So we have thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, B6, pantothenic acid, and biotin. So these are also called B complex vitamins. So when we say B complex vitamins, it includes these vitamins. And these vitamins are all involved in energy metabolism on the right side of the slide. And this is we have glycolysis and we have TCA cycle, and we can see the name of different enzymes and the different enzymes and their associated coenzymes, which are vitamins, B vitamins. And here is this food sources. Thiamine is mostly grain products like bread, whole wheat, um, that food group. Most of the time, the grains provide thiamine. Riboflavin is dairy products, milk, egg, cheese, yogurt. That's for riboflavin. Niacin is meat, chicken, fish. And B6 is again meat, beef, liver, egg, some vegetables, nuts. So let's review this one. Which statement is incorrect? An overproduction of free radicals leads to oxidative stress, which damages organs, cells, and tissues. So that's correct. Free radicals are substances that have a couple of unpaired electrons, and they can cause damages to organs, cells, and tissues, and they cause oxidative stress. So that option one is correct. Let's move on to second one. Free radicals are unstable compounds that can damage components of cells, including DNA, proteins, and cell membranes. That's correct. Free radicals are unstable compounds because they have unpaired electrons and they are very active. Chemically, they are very active. Three, some free radicals have beneficial effects. That can also be true. That can also be correct. Some free radicals have beneficial effects. Antioxidants, for example, vitamin C, E, and A, donate a pair of electrons to the free radical to stabilize it. So number four, I would say it's incorrect. Because, they donate a pair of electrons to the free radical to stabilize it. That can be correct, but vitamin A is not antioxidant. Beta carotene is an antioxidant. I would say that. But remember, some free radicals can also have beneficial effects. They can fight against infection as well. So antioxidants and free radicals. Free radical formation is related to exercise intensity and duration, which means higher intensity exercise and longer duration of exercise are both related to free radical formation. Free radicals can destroy bacterial and foreign particles. So that's why sometimes free radicals are beneficial because they fight against bacteria, foreign particles. So therefore, sometimes they are beneficial. And antioxidants donate a single electron. So here we have vitamin A, but I would say it should be beta carotene. So antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin N, and vitamin A, they donate a single electron, not uh, here we have a pair of electrons, which is incorrect. So the antioxidants, these vitamins, they donate a single electron, not pair of electrons to the free radical and then become oxidized. Antioxidants like vitamin C, E and beta carotene, whenever they donate a single electron to free radicals, they become oxidized. And our body, our other particles, other substances are capable of donating electron to these antioxidant, and they reduce them, so they are getting active again. So it's like a circle. Antioxidants, they donate a single electron and they become a free radical themselves. And then we have other substances and they donate electron to these antioxidants and reduce them. And they become antioxidant again. Other vitamins regenerate antioxidants, so that's what it is, you know. And some also some minerals like selenium, they can also donate electron to some vitamins and regenerate antioxidants. So here, these are the vitamins with antioxidant properties. Vitamin C, vitamin A as beta carotene. So these are the main vitamins that have antioxidant properties. So, you know, that's the reason why vitamin C is beneficial in infection. Sometimes some research says it's beneficial for cancer treatment. Vitamin E is like that. Vitamin A is also fight against, you know, infection and free radicals. And also we have cell antioxidant system. So in this picture, we have a skeletal muscle cell, just a single skeletal muscle cell, and we have mitochondria. You know, mitochondria produces ROS, which stands for reactive oxygen species, which are free radicals. These free radicals, ROS, are harmful and they can cause some damages to skeletal muscle cell, to DNA, to cell membrane. So we have some antioxidant system inside the cell that fight against these ROS or free radicals. For instance, we have superoxide dismutase or catalase. And there are other antioxidant substances inside the cell that, you know, they kind of donate electrons to ROS, and they after being like donated electrons, they become inactive or like not harmful anymore. Something like that. So here is you know, this is the explanation for the previous slide. So ROS, reactive oxygen species or free radicals, form in skeletal muscle cells by aerobic metabolism and from other sources. They have the potential to damage DNA, cell membranes, and other cellular structures. So these are very harmful, and we have to get rid of them. Antioxidant enzymes, we have SOD, CAT or CAT, catalase, and GPX. These interact chemically to neutralize the free radicals. And also we have direct free radical scavengers such as vitamin E, ascorbate. Ascorbate is vitamin C. Beta carotene and glutathione are also part of the cell's protective antioxidant system. There are some vitamins they involve in red blood cell function or like formation, B12, folate, and because of these, we have vitamin-associated anemias. We have pernicious anemia. It's because of deficiency in B12 and megaloblastic anemia, and that's a result of folate deficiency. So these vitamins, they participate in red blood cell formation. We need B12 and folate uh, to have a decent amount of red blood cells in the bloodstream. And in order to have healthy red blood cells, we need these vitamins. In the deficiency, we will develop different types of anemias, vitamin-associated anemias. Anemia, we have different types of anemia. We have iron deficiency anemia, and we have vitamin-associated anemias, and there are other types of anemias. But whenever you see these terms, pernicious and megaloblastic anemia, these are vitamin-associated anemias. In megaloblastic anemia, the reason they call it megaloblastic, it's because of the vitamin B9 or folate deficiency, red blood cells become larger and larger. So in their lab results, they can detect those large red blood cells which are abnormal. In healthy people, uh, red blood cells have their own like size, like normal size, but in megaloblastic anemia, the red blood cells are larger than uh, a red blood cell in normal people. So that can be a sign for folate deficiency. And different vitamins are involved in growth and development, like vitamin A, which is useful for vision. Without vitamin A, we can develop blindness. And also tissue growth and development, specifically in infants and children. Vitamin D is also involved in growth and development, like bone health and disease prevention. So we have sources of vitamins, supplements versus food. Different types of food processing can cause some damages to the vitamin content of food. And different vitamins are susceptible to specific food processing type. For instance, thiamine is very vulnerable to heat, to boiling. Niacin, on the other hand, thiamine is B1, niacin is B3. Niacin is more stable to heat and boiling. Riboflavin is stable in heat, but it's vulnerable to ultraviolet light. So, different food processing has some different effects on different types of vitamins. Or let's say pantothenic acid, which is our vitamin B5, canning, freezing, um, and also refining, we can lose a substantial amount of vitamin B5 or pantothenic acid in canning, freezing, and refining food. So, because of food processing, we have nutrient loss. Again, different food processing. This is very important note to remember here. Because of different food processing, we can lose different types of nutrients. So, because of the nutrient loss after food processing, they can enrich or fortificate different food items. The difference between enrichment and fortification is this. Enrichment means adding nutrients back to the food after food processing, which are being lost during food processing. Fortification means we are adding nutrients which was not there, you know, the first place. For instance, they fortify milk with vitamin D. So that's fortification. But enrichment is like after refining wheat or rice, they add some B vitamins. to rice or grains. That's enrichment. And there are some advantages and disadvantages for supplement versus food. Most vitamins are obtained from three sources. Whether they exist naturally in food, they are added to foods during processing, and they are manufactured as dietary supplements. And again, there are some advantages and disadvantages, but our goal is food first. Supplements are second. And here we have example of daily value and the fortified cereal regarding daily value and multi vitamin supplement. And this table shows the kind of comparison, vitamin comparison of a high saturated fat, high sugar, and low fiber diet to the RDA. As you can see in this, we will compare this table to this table here, which is a nutrient dense whole foods diet approach. So look at the percent of RDA here. As you can see, most of the time it's above 100%, except for thiamine. Other vitamins, the percent of RDA is above 100%. This is a nutrient-dense whole foods. Let's go back to the slide. Let's look at the RDA, percent of RDA. As you can see, most of the time, these are not this type of diet, high sugar, low fiber, high saturated fat diet. This type of diet is not meeting the RDA goals for different vitamins. And this is the on the right side, we have an example of a nutrient-dense whole food diet approach, like 1 cup oatmeal for breakfast, lentil soup for lunch, so on and so forth. So this type of diet emphasizes fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, and whole grains, all naturally occurring foods, rather than consuming, processed foods. And the caloric intake is the same as the one on the previous slide, which is here, approximately 2500 kilocalorie, but the vitamin intake is substantially different. So both of these diets, this one and this one, these are 2500 kilocalories, their energy content. Their energy content is 2500 kilocalorie, but the vitamin content is substantially different between these two diets. So if we wanna um, develop a meal plan to athletes, we need to keep this in mind. If they wanna eat a nutrient-dense whole foods, even if they are exercising for a long period of time, or they are engaging in high intensity exercise, they will meet their needs by consuming a nutrient-dense whole foods diet rather than high saturated, low fiber diet. When the caloric content of the diet is very low, it is difficult. Remember, this is a very important point. It is difficult to obtain the recommended amounts of vitamins. So here we have an example on the right side, at the bottom of the slide. The calorie content of this diet is 828 kilocalorie. So the vitamin content of this diet is very low. So, and this in this example, they analyzed 7 of the 9 vitamins. 7 of the 9 vitamins analyzed in this diet were below the RDA because of the low energy content of this diet. So here we have exercise and vitamins. This is actually, I would say, the most important slide in this for this chapter. So our goal is to meet the RDA for all micronutrients. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. So the goal is to meet the RDA. We don't want to exceed the RDA, even for athletes. There are some possible higher needs for some specific micronutrients, but again, the research is going on and there is no absolute evidence for these higher needs. And the results of different studies are inconsistent. But we can say there are some possible higher needs, but if athletes they they meet the RDA for micronutrients, we are okay, we are good to go. So there are some possible higher needs for vitamin D, E, C, and B vitamins, and iron, calcium, zinc, selenium, and magnesium. These are possible higher needs, but again, I personally do not recommend supplementation for these minerals or vitamins, for athletes. I would recommend nutrient dense and whole foods rather than consuming supplements. Because if they if they eat enough, if they eat their calorie needs, most probably they will meet their micronutrient needs as well. But there are some athletes at risk of, not meeting their micronutrient needs. These athletes are energy restriction. They follow an energy restriction diet. They eliminate one or more food groups. So for these athletes, they may benefit from a multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement. But again, we don't recommend supplementation for other types of athletes. Some athletes they have eating disorder or they restrict their diet, they are following fasting, they eliminate one or more food groups. We can recommend supplementation. But for other athletes, they don't need supplementation actually. So that's all about this chapter. And next chapter, we will talk about minerals in detail.